Welcome to From Elevator Music to Musical Masterpiece, a study in using nonverbal communication to transform speaking abilities. Have you ever listened to a speaker and, though his words were true, you just didn't believe him? That's probably because his voice and his actions didn't match. We are constantly using two forms of communication, verbal and nonverbal. Verbal communication is the words we say. Nonverbal communication is the action we do. We speak with our whole bodies, using facial expressions, gestures, and appearance to create meaning. In other words, when we speak, it's like we're directing a symphony orchestra. Our body provides the melody, and our words provide the dissonance or the harmony to that melody. A handshake, a raised eyebrow, vocal variations, or a smile are all part of the melody we call nonverbal communication. Many communication experts note that 93% of communication is based on nonverbal cues, and only 7% of communication is based on what we say. Psychologist Michael Argyle researched nonverbal communication to discover its impact in both conversation and public speaking situations. He found that nonverbal communications were 6 times more effective than verbal communication. And when audience members feel distrust for a speaker, it's often because the verbal and the nonverbal communication does not match. Much like a discordant piece of music, mismatching verbal and nonverbal communication leaves an audience feeling dissatisfied with or uneasy with a speaker. To avoid audience unease, a speaker needs to focus on both the verbal and nonverbal messages they are sending. An effective speaker will compose a message that flows and creates pleasing harmony with its verbal and nonverbal notes. In order to raise speaker awareness and create a satisfying verbal symphony, this short presentation will briefly discuss the 6 common nonverbal communication areas important in public speaking. They are eye contact, facial expression, voice, clothing and appearance, touch, and posture and gesture. Eye contact is a main focus of nonverbal communication and has been for thousands of years. Luke 11:35 says the eyes are a lamp to the soul. Many old wives' tales describe a person as shifty, and it's not because they fidget. It's because their eyes are constantly darting about. A sympathetic face is usually due to eye expression, and a smile that doesn't reach the eyes is known as insincere or even sinister. Psychologist Michael Argyle and his co-workers at Oxford studied eye contact and found that it is a special nonverbal signal. It acts as a signal for the person looked at, but it also conveys information to the person making the eye contact. Further studies by Bargoon, Cooker, and Cooker found that the lack of eye contact led audience members to believe the information was false, even if the speaker was speaking the truth. Facial expressions provide a rich source of nonverbal communication information. Research shows that facial expressions like a lifted eyebrow, wrinkled forehead, or a smile are the most accurate nonverbal reflections of what a speaker is really thinking and feeling. In other words, facial expressions are hard to fake. Voice and vocal variety are the second most accurate form of nonverbal communication. Good speakers vary their tone of voice to show confidence and poise. Use of intonation or varied tones is a powerful and influential nonverbal action, while the lack of intonation is viewed as a nonverbal weakness. Like it or not, clothing and appearance are the first 2 nonverbal cues seen by an audience, and clothing is a system of signs that a speaker uses to convey confidence and authority to their speaking crowd. A necktie is one of the most common clothing items studied in the communication field. A tie conveys the male corporate image of strength, authority, and professionalism, and its history can be traced all the way back to the American Industrial Revolution. The United States is seen as a non-contact culture, and corporate America does not accept touching as a normal form of nonverbal communication. In fact, frequent or unsolicited touching can be viewed as sexual harassment. The few nonverbal touching gestures allowed in corporate America include handshakes, pats on the back, and brief touches to the forearm. Even though corporate America frowns on excessive nonverbal touching, the handshake is still one of the most effective business tools in the world. It is traditionally thought to be a symbol of respect and trust, and speakers should use it whenever possible before a presentation by mingling with the audience. But speakers need to learn how to present a firm, confident handshake that lasts 2 to 3 seconds and conveys extroversion and warmth. A well-placed pat on the back or a firm handshake before a meeting can be effective forms of nonverbal communication. Humans are drawn to movement, and posture and gesture speaks louder than words. Speakers need to maintain an open body posture of relaxed confidence, which conveys awareness and control. Studies show that successful speakers lean forward slightly at the waist, keep their torso open, and nod their heads. What would a presentation be without a top 10 list? As you can see, here are the top 10 positive gestures speakers can use to communicate with their audience. In summary, nonverbal communication makes up 93% of all communication. And if speakers follow the guidelines given in this presentation, they can enhance their verbal communication with their nonverbal actions. What's the biggest takeaway from this presentation? It's simple. It's not what we say, it's how we say it. By using appropriate eye contact, facial expressions, vocal variety, clothing and appearance, touch, and proper posture and gesture, effective speakers can use nonverbal communication to transform their next presentation from elevator music into a musical masterpiece.